I am alive and it's good to be alive. Today we're checking out Mag, the ultimate corpus titty twister frame. I mean destroyer. She's really good. I'll be honest, I talk a lot of shit on Mag, but it's not that she's bad, it's that she's good. And I love her, but I hate her at the same time. Mag's actually a pretty cool frame. I actually really like the idea of her. She just seems very specialized and specific to me, and I'll show you why I think that later on in the video. But let's get into what I have on her. Right, I have Rifle Amp because you're going to want to deal a lot of damage with your guns for a certain reason I'll show you later on. I've got Blind Rage, Streamline, Redirection, Stretch, Fleeting Expertise, Intensify, Prime Continuity, and Constitution. So, Mag is kind of a tricky frame because ever since her rework, yes, she's still pretty decent, but I find it's really hard to build for one power. If you build for one power, the rest of your powers become almost so shit that they're just not even usable. So this gets me to 123% duration, 135% efficiency, 145% range, and 229% strength. So this is a strength build, but I am also positive in every other category of power. And I don't even bother modding health on Mag because she doesn't have very much, and she has a whopping 65 armor, so she's about as tanky as a plastic cup. So you really are going to want redirection on Mag. That's going to boost her shields quite a bit. She gets over 1,000 shielding, which is going to help her a lot later on. Still not very tanky. I would consider her very much a glass cannon frame, but that's just my personal opinion. So I'm just going to throw this out there right at the beginning of the video. If I were you personally, I would not use Mag in any other mission unless you're fighting Corpus. Corpus missions are the only missions I will ever use Mag because one of her best abilities and my favorites heavily relies on the enemy having either shield or armor, which is nice against Grineer enemies later on, but not very many of them, and pretty much only helpful against Corpus and does next to nothing against Infested. So starting off, her first ability is pretty simple. It's called Pull, and it's actually really fun. You get to be a fucking Jedi and just pull the shit out of people and ragdoll them everywhere. It's actually pretty damn entertaining. It's great crowd control. Unfortunately, like I said, if you don't build kind of all of her power abilities very well, this is a really hard Warframe to use. If you just did a straight up overextended build and you did like all power, range, and efficiency, her negative power strength actually affects the likelihood of tripping and actually ragdolling enemies, which is why, again, like I said, I have to give Mag just a really all-around power build. I can't just focus on one specific thing. Now I'll show you Pull again, just on this little guy. Come back! Oh shit! Okay, well, yep, goodbye, you're dead. Mag's second ability, which is by far one of her coolest. If my fucking cat doesn't kill this man, well look, he's got no health. There's no point in proving it now. Just blow his head off. Look, that's a good kitty, but you're being a bad kitty at the same time. I like it. Keep killing the fools. Alright, so Mag's... Oh god, that's her ultimate. Jesus. Well, there's her ult. It just kills everything, apparently. I am so disorganized. The Mag's second ability creates this magnetized bubble on a target, and here's the best part about it. No matter where in the bubble you shoot, it instantly attracts your bullets to the center of the bubble and adds that damage to the bubble. So essentially what'll happen is new enemies that enter this bubble and enemies that are close to it, as you can see, which he just did, they slowly get kind of magnetized and pulled towards it. So I'll go ahead and use it again here. Enemies that get pulled into it will take damage every second, proportionate to how much you put into it. And then when the power's duration reaches its end, the bubble actually explodes and detonates, dealing a massive amount of damage. If you do use an overextended efficiency build, this is going to be your saving grace and pretty much the only power you're going to want to use. It is going to nuke like literally an entire portion of the map if used properly. And then my favorite Mag ability, which gets better and better the more enemies that are crowded around each other, is called Polarize. This essentially sends out this huge wave, maybe not so huge depending on your mod, that destroys enemy shields. So as you can see now, these enemies have no shielding, and if it completely gets through their shielding and detonates it entirely, it actually damages them. I also notice it does substantially more damage the more enemies that are near each other. So if you have like a crowd of guys, it'll pretty much completely kill and destroy them. If it destroys armor or energy shields, yes, it also strips enemies of their armor, hence why you could use it technically against Grineer heavy target. It makes these little glowing shards on the ground that you can see here. And essentially what those are for is if you use it in conjunction with your bubble, it'll actually suck up the shards and increase the damage that your bubble does. And last but certainly not least, her ultimate is called Crush, where you essentially lift up enemies and you deal 3 ticks of damage over time, using the power, dealing great amounts of damage depending on your power strength, and completely immobilizing enemies. This is really, really nice for good crowd control if you're getting ganged up on and you just need an immediate breath of fresh air. So again, as you can see here, Mag has a substantially good arsenal of powers that make her really good against large groups of enemies, especially against corpus enemies and high damaging targets, because let's say you have like a Bursa or something that takes a lot more damage to kill, you can essentially just put a mag bubble on it and call it good. Your bullets are instantly going to be attracted to the target and deal tons of damage. It's super fun to use with projectile based weapons and non-bullet based weapons as well, because sometimes your saw blades will actually fly around in here if you're using something like the Mitter or the Panthera. Now here's the downsides to Mag. Again, her Polarize is by far one of her best abilities. Honestly, if you're going to be fighting Infested or Grineer, the only abilities worthwhile are going to be her Bullet Attractor, her Magnetize ability right here. That's pretty fun, especially against high level targets, because essentially when you trap them in that, it causes them to shoot themselves with their own bullets, which is really cool. You can use it to lock down hallways if you're in tight corridors, which is also really nice. But the bad news about that, her dealing so much damage, is, again, I find her to be kind of a squishy Warframe. The reason that bothers me is because, yes, her Polarize ability can instantly restore her energy shields, but let's be honest, energy shields are not very hard to break through. I mean, it's not like we have steel fiber like we do for health. Like, armor makes your health harder to, like, deplete. So we don't have anything like that for shielding, so 1,000 shielding in the long run really doesn't matter. And also, the one faction she's good against, best against I should say, of course has a shit ton of nullifiers later on, which, you guessed it, pretty much nullify her powers, making them almost useless. I counteract that using the Neutralizing Justice mod on my Miter. If you want to see that mod in action, I have a video on it, and I will link it in the description down below. So if you are going to use Mag as like your main go-to everything frame, I would at least use the Miter with Neutralizing Justice, and then you can bring whatever you want for your secondary. But as you can see here, she makes it really easy to dispatch very strong targets. Mag is really a love-hate frame for me. I actually really do like using her, and I think she's really destructive and cool. But again, I only find her very fun against one particular faction in the game, and unless I have that Neutralizing Justice mod to take out nullifier bubbles, it just creates larger problems for me down the road. And if you want Mag, the good news is she's super easy to get. You kill the Sergeant on Phobos, literally the easiest boss in the game, quite possibly. You literally just shoot him and then he dies. Like, there's nothing special about him. Pretty sure he's getting a rework later on, so not even going to bother showing you guys. It's literally super fucking easy. So she's super easy to get, pretty destructive, and if you have a team watching your back, you can actually deal a shit ton of damage. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.